And this is where people pleasing or wanting to be that nice girl, wanting to be liked at the bottom of it, really comes into how we do business in so many different ways. But it also impacts so much of our personal lives. It impacts how much freedom we have. It impacts our stress levels. It impacts our success. And so what was happening for me was that I felt like I was at this cap. There was like, cool, I'm so ready for the next level and I'm doing all the work, I'm doing the inner work. But what I didn't actually realize was that for me, success meant that I might upset people, and I didn't even realize. Hello, I have so much to chat to you about. There has been so much happening in my world over the last 6 to 8 months. 2022 has been a huge year for me. I've celebrated some of my milestones and shared them on the podcast, and a lot of the reason why I've been able to collapse so much time lately, I've gone from 30 to 50K months to 78K in 1 week. And these shifts are continuing to accelerate over time in my business. And I've spoken about selling on here before, but the other huge part to the reasons why I'm having so much success lately has been the inner work and the inner shifts that have been happening. And what I wanted to particularly talk to you about today was that I am no longer the nice girl. And I wanted to share a little bit of my journey in terms of being that nice girl, wanting to be liked, people pleasing, throwing my boundaries out the window, and now to really stepping into my power. I can still be nice. I like to think of myself as still quite nice and genuine and all of that great stuff, but I'm no longer people pleasing. I'm no longer throwing my standards out the window to make others feel more comfortable. I'm no longer dimming my light. I'm no longer watering myself down on social media. And I'm really just here to take up the space, to hold that space and be the bad bitch that I always was and that I always knew I was capable of, but I always used to get underestimated or overlooked because I wasn't fully claiming that power. So maybe you're feeling like that now. And I really wanted to share the journey because I think a lot of you have been with me on this journey. You've heard my podcast episodes where I've spoken about the challenges of being an introvert. And I know introvert is the energy, where you get your energy be by yourself. But I've always been super shy. I'd always flown under the radar. And I know so many of you resonated with that episode. So we will link it in the show notes if you want to go back and have a listen. But today, I wanted to take you on the journey on some of the things that I have done to really step into my power, to stop people pleasing, to stop throwing my goals or ambitions or things out the window, to make others feel a little bit more comfortable. So there have been many times in my life where I have kind of created this story that more success equals upsetting others. And there were times throughout my life where maybe I had to hide my success because some others around me when I was growing up might have felt a bit put off by that, or maybe weren't doing as well on paper, and I could feel their energy. I don't know about you, but when people are sad or their energy is a little bit off or their emotions, I feel that so deeply. And in human design, to give you context, I have an open emotional solar plexus center. So it means that I'm picking up on other people's emotions and energies throughout the day. And so this for me meant that I felt that their emotions and amplified it. If they felt disappointed that they didn't get as good of a score as me on their test, or, didn't do as well in exams, or, just whatever it was, right? I felt it. And then I had created a story that the more successful I was, that it would upset others. And I didn't Love that feeling. So I started to water myself down. I started to not share my wins, not share my success as much. And it got to a point where when I first started my first ever business back in 2016, I was 22, and I always knew deep down, like, I have never had a problem with self-doubt. I started that business and I was like, I am going to be global. This is going to be massive. I know exactly what I am capable of, but I didn't want my name anywhere. I didn't want anyone to know that it was me. And so I built this faceless brand, which was great. That's great at the time because I knew what I was capable of. I was doing some big ass stuff and making big moves, but behind closed doors. No one had to see it was me. And so it took me a lot to get out there. I remember doing my first ever live video on Instagram and I was like, hey, my name's Jess. I forgot what I was going to say. See you later. And that was like my first ever live. And so for me, it took a lot of steps, like one foot in front of the other, to build up my confidence to get to where I am today. But even just in the last 6 months, I'd already built a personal brand over the last few years. I was already doing coaching for the last 3 to 4 years, and still there was so much to integrate. And I think that that's a really important reminder that at every next level, there is so much more to integrate. We really never are done. And so I'm going to share some stories with you because you might resonate with some of these. Maybe you're there now. Maybe you've felt them in the past. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. So earlier this year, I actually pulled myself up because I realized that I was still watering myself down when it came to social media. So I'd built a personal brand. I was bringing in 20 to 30K months last year and doing pretty good, right? But on the outside, I was still editing every single caption before I put them out. I was questioning, what if people take this in a bitchy way? What if people think I'm rude? Basically, what if I get cancelled? What if I get called out and cancelled because someone misunderstood the intention that I had behind something? So I would over edit it, or I would add so many extra explanations on, hey, this is what I believe, but it's also great if you believe that, you know? Like, I felt like I had to justify everything I was putting out. And the funny part of that was I didn't actually realize I was doing it. My conscious mind was like, cool, we're going to do this, keep you safe, but I wasn't aware of it. And so that was showing up in so many different ways in terms of my marketing. I was also throwing my standards and my boundaries out the window. Whenever someone complained, whenever someone said, oh, that's a bit too expensive, can you do X, Y, Z? I would say, yes, of course I can. And it wasn't necessarily discounting. They were just like, oh, I can't afford that. So I would like cut my package in half, the value and the price, so that it would suit them. Rather than just saying, no, that's fine, I have other offers, or, you know, we can touch base when that fits in your budget, and owning the fact that I wasn't going to be for everyone, but I was still bending it. If someone said, hey, Jess, we want to have you on our podcast to interview you, can you do it at this day and this time? I was saying yes. And that meant that I was up at like 11 p.m. doing some podcasts for the USA time zone. I was, you know, having to move things in my calendar, or it meant that I was overbooking myself. And that just didn't suit me. But I thought if I said no, then I would lose that opportunity. And this is where people pleasing, or wanting to be that nice girl, wanting to be liked at the bottom of it, really comes into how we do business in so many different ways. But it also impacts so much of our personal lives. It impacts how much freedom we have. It impacts our stress levels. It impacts our success. And so what was happening for me was that I felt like I was at this cap. There was like, cool, I'm so ready for the next level, and I'm doing all the work, I'm doing the inner work. But what I didn't actually realize was that for me, success meant that I might upset people. And I didn't even realize. I was like, no. I have a pretty good mindset. I know what I'm capable of. I can do this. But subconsciously, I didn't want to upset anyone. And so for me, it meant that I really had to own those parts of me that probably will be misunderstood, that probably will be seen as greedy, that will be seen as bitchy or too direct or bossy. And when I started to realize that and started to own those parts of me, I was showing up with more potency in my coaching environments. The transformation started to get bigger and deeper. It's not always what my clients want to hear, but they say that I always laugh because the most feedback that I get from them is like, it's like a loving bitch slap that I didn't really want, but I'm so glad I got. And that is what I'm really here to do. At the core of it, I am here to make a damn impact. I'm not here to be liked. And when we can start to own that, we get to uphold our boundaries. We get to set stronger boundaries. We get to clean up our energetic leaks around where we are still entertaining things that no longer serve us at that next level. There's going to be a whole lot of letting go, a whole lot of shedding, a whole lot of grief. But what I liken it to is if you imagine a tree, and last year I was pretty grounded. Like I was a tree and I had my roots out, great. But this year, it feels like I have just sent the roots out even deeper and even further. And previously, if a big storm came or something, I might move around a fair bit, maybe even fall over. But this year, because I've grounded so much deeper into this and into the work around holding this at the next level, I feel like if a storm came, I might move a little bit, but I'd stay pretty damn strong. And I know there's more to come for me. I know I'm just still scratching the surface, but this is the work that we really need to do at that next level, because for so long I was wanting to attract high level clients, people who finally saw me as a projector as well. This is like the hardest thing when it's like, why don't you see me? And maybe you feel this too. And it's like, I'm here. I know what I'm capable of. So why don't you see me? Why don't you see how great I am? And then you have people in your world that you see go and hire someone else who can just do the same as you, but you feel like you've got more to offer, but people don't quite see that in you. And what started to happen when I started to lean into this shift, all of those people that in the past I had sort of maybe felt that way, it's like, hey, I can help you. I'm over here. Why can't you see me? They started landing in my DMs. They started saying, hey, Jess, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but I just need to work with you. That is the power that we get to step into. And I'm not saying go and have a look at what I've done and copy what I've done in terms of my tonality, in terms of how I'm showing up, because that is unique to me. The value really comes from unearthing what those deeper stories are to you. Some of the ones that I've shared might really resonate with you, but it is going to be so important for you to anchor into the stories that you've created for yourself around why, around your behavior and what's actually happening for you at that deeper level. And then step into owning the incredible parts of you that maybe you've been watering down. So here's the thing. If you'd have asked me at the time, if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, if I was being my most genuine, authentic, vibrant, straight talking, no BS self, I would have said yes, because what is happening is subconscious and you're not even aware of it. So this is the part where when you understand the underlying goals that maybe your subconscious has around keeping you safe, when you understand the deeper mindset blocks, the deeper stories that you're telling yourself that are actually holding you back and sabotaging your success without you even knowing, and then combine it with tapping into your highest level self. And that's really knowing who you are at your core, but maybe you're not consciously aware of how that's not being shown and shared with the world. Because when you can do that, things change big time. So there is so much I want to share with you on this. And I've decided I'm going to be running a nice girl masterclass because we're not going to be the nice girl anymore, and really stepping into, getting rid of the people pleasing, holding up your boundaries to the strongest degree, having that deeper level of self-trust that needs to be fully felt and not just wanting to feel, and really being comfortable with taking up space. Really be comfortable with shining your damn light, with celebrating yourself, even when people say, oh, but it's easy for you. Oh, you must be greedy because you talk about money all the time. And holding those projections. This is the work that I have been doing behind the scenes, and I am ready to share it with you all, like all of it. Nothing is off the table. There's going to be probably some tears, but there's going to be so much healing inside of this masterclass because, this work has changed my life over the last 6 months. And that was me kind of figuring it out on my own. And so I'm going to be sharing this with you to collapse time, to fully step into this. And this masterclass is not just going to be for business owners, but it's going to help you in business in insane ways. But you don't necessarily have to have a business to get benefits from this. But if you've ever bent your rules, if you've ever basically molded yourself to suit other people in any way, then this masterclass, you're going to want to be in there because it is going to be insane, the level of stuff that I'm dropping. Honestly, it probably should be a whole course, but I'm going to give it to you in the masterclass. So you can get in, super low ticket price, and the link will be in the show notes. Otherwise, you can head on over to my website or send me a DM on Instagram, whatever you like. And I cannot wait to see you inside. See you next time.